Let's be honest, payday arrives, the money hits your account, and then poof, it's gone. Are you feeling lost and overwhelmed about what to do with your hard-earned cash? Well, you're not alone. Most people struggle with managing their finances after payday. But you're in the right place, and I'm here to help. If you're new here, I'm Colin. I'm a certified financial planner. I own Celestial Wealth Management, and I've been providing financial planning and investment advice to business owners and their families for over 23 years. What I'd like to do is take you through 9 bulletproof steps of what you should do as soon as your paycheck hits your bank account. Now, there's some debate about the order that you should do these 9 steps, but in my opinion, this is the optimal order, so watch this. In part 1, we covered the first 5 steps. In part 2, we're covering steps 6 through 9 and my supercharged bonus strategy. If you haven't seen part 1 yet, stop right now and go and watch part 1. I'll provide a link to it down in the description. It's important to proceed in the proper order, so watch part 1 first. All right, now time for step 6. At this point, after completing steps 1 through 5, your financial foundation should be on solid footing. You never want to build a house without a solid foundation. It's the same thing with your finances. With a solid foundation built, it's time to maximize your tax-advantaged accounts. Now is the time to increase your 401k contributions with extra funds until you reach the maximum for the calendar year. Now that varies from year to year, so you can check online or with your accountant about what those maximums are. With the cash flow that's freed up from paying off your high interest debt and now fully funding an emergency fund, you should be able to significantly increase your 401k, TSP, or 403b contributions. One key decision to make is whether you want to contribute to the traditional side or the Roth side of the 401k. I've yet to meet a client later in life who doesn't wish they had more in the Roth side, so strongly consider the Roth side. As a reminder, with Roth 401k, Roth TSP, or Roth 403b contributions, you do not get a current tax deduction. What you get is tax-free growth and tax-free distributions later in life. That's a huge advantage with the power of tax-free compounding. A traditional 401k contribution does have the benefit of a current tax deduction in exchange for being taxed on the distributions later in life and having those distributions count as provisional income, potentially making your Social Security taxable. Generally speaking, if you believe you're currently in a higher tax bracket than you will be when you withdraw funds in retirement, then you should use the traditional side. But if you believe your future tax rates will be the same or higher, the Roth is the better move. Now, some people will be in lower tax brackets in retirement, but many people underestimate what their future tax rates will be, thinking that because they're not working anymore, the tax rate must be lower. In actuality, for many Americans, their tax rates end up being the same or higher. It's important to do your own analysis, but a pretty reasonable strategy, in my opinion, is just to split the difference. If you don't have a strong opinion, put half your contribution to the traditional side and get the deduction now. Then put the other half to the Roth side and get the tax-free distributions. Then it doesn't matter what future tax rates are. You are effectively immunizing yourself against future tax rate uncertainty by splitting the difference. Okay, now that you're all set with maximizing your tax-advantaged retirement accounts, what's next? What's next is giving this video a like and making sure you're subscribed to the channel. Over 80% of you who watch my content haven't subscribed. YouTube loves it and helps more people see this valuable content. Thank you for that. Okay, on to step 7. Step 7 is where you really ramp up your savings. By this point, if you're fully funding your retirement accounts, you should be investing at least 18% of your after-tax income. Why do we look at after-tax income? Well, it's a little harder to compute than your gross salary income because it's what you actually bring home. It's a much more realistic computation. If you're already maxing your retirement accounts and haven't made it to the 18% of your after-tax income, this is where you open and start funding a general brokerage investment account, or you may begin investing in real estate. A general brokerage investment account doesn't have restrictions on withdrawing assets and doesn't have tax penalties for taking money out early. That makes them ideal accounts for an early retirement fund, excess cash flow, or future goals like a vacation home. If you don't have children, the goal here is to first get to 18% of after-tax income and then strive to increase that by 1 or 2% a year. Rental real estate can be an incredible investment over the long term. The income generated, the appreciation of the home, leveraging other people's money, and the tax benefits of the property all make investment real estate a great way to build wealth over the long term. But it definitely isn't passive. There is a lot of work involved to own rental property, so consider that before taking the dive. Either way, investing in this area using real estate or a general brokerage account is the way to go. Step 8. It's finally time to save for your kids' college education. Hopefully you made it all the way through step 7 before you have children. That's the ideal scenario. But still, many people ask me why I advise saving so much before saving for kids' educations. Here's my reasoning. You know when you get on an airplane and they say, if cabin pressure drops, oxygen masks will fall down. Please place yours over your own face before helping your children. Maybe they don't sound like that, but that's what they say. You can't help your children if you pass out. Same thing with your savings. You need to create a solid financial situation for your current and your future self before worrying about your children. Most of my clients, when we discuss financial goals, they will say things like, we don't want to be a burden on our children as we age. But if you save too little for your own retirement, your children will have the responsibility of subsidizing your retirement. There aren't loans or scholarships for retirement, but there are for education. There are many options to pay for your children's education if you want. One of the most important decisions to have between spouses is how much of an education you want to pay for. 100%? 50%? Up to a certain amount? That can help you plan for how much that you need to save. Then it makes sense to discuss what vehicle you want to use. In my opinion, hands down, the 529 plan is the best vehicle for educational savings. This is why. Number 1, you control the assets. Your child never gets control of them. Number 2, they are tax advantaged. In many states, you receive a tax deduction for a portion of your contribution. Then the funds grow without taxes, and if you use them for high school, college, or trade school in any state, the distributions are tax-free. Number 3, if there are any funds left over, up to $35,000 can be moved into a Roth IRA for the beneficiary. This is new as of 2024. Now you can only put a certain amount in each year up to the maximum allowable each calendar year, but that is an amazing perk that was just instituted. So in my opinion, once you reach step 8, you should try your best to fund the 529 with an amount that makes sense for your family. You can also open a custodial Roth IRA if your child is old enough to have earned income. For example, if they earn money dog walking, babysitting, as a hostess, working at a golf course, or as a lifeguard, you can match that money that they earn and put it into a custodial Roth IRA. As I said earlier, any contributions are available at any point in time for any purpose. So the contributions could be used for their college if needed. Now the earnings will be taxed and penalized, so those would ideally stay in the Roth IRA until they reach 59 and a half. That's pretty powerful compounding. You could also use investment real estate here as well. Several clients I work with use a strategy where after a child is born, they will buy a rental property that is meant to be the education fund for that child. All the rental income is reinvested back into the property to pay down the mortgage, and in many cases, you can have a fully paid for property by the time they go to college. Then you can either sell the property or you could pull out the equity tax-free and avoid capital gains by taking a loan against the property value. Yes, you pay interest on the loan, but you keep that rental income and the tax advantages. There are many ways to use assets to pay for college. Don't think it needs to be solely one strategy. You can consider a balance of all of them. In step 8, you're also accumulating funds in your non-retirement brokerage investment account. These funds may be for an additional long-term financial goal that you have. Maybe you want a vacation home on a golf course in Charleston, South Carolina. Maybe you want a beach home in the Outer Banks, or maybe a hunting cabin in West Virginia. This is where you stash savings away in investments to work towards those long-term non-retirement goals. All right, now that you have additional investment strategies set up and you're actively funding them, now may be the time to reduce low interest debt in step 9. You may have outstanding mortgage debt that you owe on your primary mortgage, or still have student loan debt depending upon your age. Now that you've reached step 9, you can tackle paying down that debt if you want to. But in my opinion, you shouldn't pay down low interest debt until you have the previous 8 steps working for you. It's hard to say that you're truly financially independent as long as you have debt. Additionally, for many Americans, not owning their home outright can be psychologically painful. So I understand that even if your mortgage is only 2 or 3%, it might be psychologically freeing to get that paid off and free up the cash flow. Feeling overwhelmed? Well, you shouldn't. I just outlined 9 steps that you can take to build your financial independence and the exact order that you should tackle them. Now for the bonus strategy. Invest in yourself. One of the best ways to increase your net worth is to make more money through a pay raise, a new job, or a side business, and then invest the increase. Not enough people spend time thinking about how they can earn more. There are plenty of books and how-to videos about sacrificing and saving what you already make. Heck, I just outlined 9 steps to maximize it. But in my opinion, we should spend at least as much time figuring out how to get a bigger piece of the pie. Invest some of your savings in new skills and knowledge, or improve on your existing skills. The easiest way to make yourself more marketable for employers is by upskilling yourself through courses or certifications. I often tell clients to have their tax returns reviewed by another professional every 3 to 5 years to see if their current tax professional is missing out on any strategies. The same thing goes for the job market. In my opinion, putting yourself out there into the job market every 3 to 5 years to see what you can garner in the marketplace can give you negotiation power with your current employer. It's been shown that employees who show more loyalty to their employer actually stunt their earning potential because they often are underpaid and underappreciated compared to the open marketplace. My best advice is to look for a new position outside your company every 3 to 5 years, and then come back to your current employer during your annual review with your findings. It provides actual data to negotiate with, and if your current employer doesn't like what you had to say, you can move on to a more fruitful opportunity that you just found out about. So what do you think of my 9 steps and this bonus strategy? How many of these steps have you completed? Where do you stand? Let me know down in the comments. And if you're working your way through these steps but are ready for more, check out this video next to supercharge your future self.